attrition, we're still at our number of officers that we account for. And so we're right there. We are on the borderline. So with one or two hires, we'll be at full staff into the overhires. And so that's pretty exciting. That's accomplishing the personnel needs that we have with that practice.
I have a question regarding the towing, and that is with this rotation, and I didn't see it in there, I may have overlooked it. Are all the cars that are towed stored at the same location?
No, we require the...
Or is it by the tow company?
Right. So the companies have to have a lot in Sherman.
Okay.
So as long as their lot is in Sherman and meets the standards of what we require, then they tow it to their lot.
All right, so then how would an individual who had their car towed know for sure which lot they're supposed to go to, or, I mean,
Right.
in
Right,
detail?
absolutely. So
I want to make it convenient for our citizens, they're going to be upset already to have their vehicle
Absolutely, right,
towed.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be towed if they wouldn't.
We request a certain record depending upon the license plate of the car that officer is looking at.
Okay,
So one record is sent for one specific vehicle. The record companies know what that vehicle is. Our dispatch knows what that vehicle is. And we complete paperwork at the accident or at the tow, whether it be a no insurance tow or whatever the case is. We complete paperwork that we give to that driver so that they already have the name and address and location of where it got towed to.
Okay.
And then we have that back at the station as well.
okay, thank you.
So Chief, where does the list of tow companies that are in our rotation, is that something we put up for request for bid, or is that something that, that we assess every year or invite others to the
Right,
table?
so it's been an long-standing practice for the city of Sherman. And so as record companies request to be put on, then we add them that way. The issue was, in times past, we had no mechanism to really validate the practices of the business. And so we don't put it out for bid since we're not paying for it.
Sure.
So we don't put it out for bid. However, the companies come in, they get put on a rotation, which is simply a list that's in our computer-aided dispatch system, so that we keep a very specific track for fairness for the record companies. And so then, as they go through, right now we have, Sergeant Mullen, we have four on rotation, and that serves us well. A lot more than that, and it's difficult to regulate. And like I said, they are a representation of us when they come out to a scene. And so we've got good relationships with the companies that we have now. We have trust in them. And so in times past, because of the ordinance, there was no feet to the fire. So there was a permitting process and it wasn't followed. There were some other processes that weren't taken care of. And so to address that, we're looking to put into this agreement that will give us a little bit more freedom to make sure that we get those things taken care of.
If a towing company wanted to be on that list, they could come fill out the proper paperwork and they would be evaluated, I guess. And
That's right. Then we would enter the discussions with an agreement and we could get them on the rotation.
And the pricing structure that you mentioned, is that a standardized pricing structure for every towing company that's now working with the city of Sherman?
Right, so each towing company that enters into our agreement will follow it. Now, it does vary depending on the size of the vehicle, or if it requires a certain equipment, or if it requires a record company to take certain steps that go beyond the reach of what would be standard. It does have some stipulations in there, but each company follows the same pricing structure that we regulate.
So 5 is all we need, is that, or can
We
can a new one
operate
come?
well with that right now.
Okay.
Now, if we have a really bad weather day or something of that nature, we could reach out to others if we needed to. 5 seems to work pretty well for us right now.
I have no other questions.
Anything else for the chief?
Scott,
About the other ordinances? Go ahead.
Scott, I got a question on 6213. I was just curious, we've had the fourth duplex today, and this seems to be the only one that had any objection out of the P&Z. I have been by to look at this one, and I've actually received a call or two about this one, and I kind of have my opinion of this, but I was curious what thoughts were out of the P and Z, why the 3-2 vote on that?
I can't tell you exactly what they were thinking, but
Well,
the discussion was from the neighbors, where they're going to park. We do require one parking space for each bedroom, which would be 8 parking spaces, off-street on private property. But the neighbors were concerned about parking and traffic right there on that corner lot. And they live next door, the mother did.
so I'm assuming there was a house there originally, and it
That's some, yeah.
And it originally faced McGee Street. Is that safe to say? And so now they've replatted or changed it to where now it will face Maxey Street
Right.
to get maximum use out of that.
But it still had the address of McGee.
The narrow side of the street is the front of the lot. They may end up with a different address on the side street, but for front purposes, the narrow side of the lot is McGee.
Well, Scott, we don't typically see a lot of 4-bedroom duplexes on each side. Is this a pretty common parking structure I know it's 1 parking space required per bedroom, but the way that they have their parking structured on that lot, is that a pretty common way of structuring the parking on a 4-bedroom duplex?
It makes a lot of impervious surface on that lot.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be much to mow.
Was there any discussion about going back and taking a look at that with the owners as far as trying to downsize that from out of the
They're
P&Z?
here. I mean, it's a public hearing. They could speak to you if you wanted to ask them. I couldn't tell you.
Is that a thought? I mean, you understand what we're saying, just the fact that we're gonna have 8 bedrooms? And,
Maybe 6 bedrooms.
yeah, I have some concerns, I think,
Problems, we bring maybe 6 bedrooms,
yeah.
whatever the easy.
Yeah. Well, my question, I'm through with my questions. Anyone else?
No.
I'll go ahead and
have
ask
anything.
another question on a different ordinance.
Which,
I don't have any questions on this ordinance.
Okay.
I have one question on that one. Could we table that and allow them to bring back a modification with a 3-bedroom? Or do we need to vote it?
Are they,
Let's just,
He was talking about possibly a 6-bedroom, so can we
Yeah,
table
3 per
that,
side.
or do we need to let it run through the process again? If we chose to go that way, I'm
I
just,
mean, it was passed by P and Z. It wasn't unanimous, but
yeah.
it passed.
I'm asking.
I don't want to get into the business of second guessing planning and zoning. If they passed it there, I think we should pass it here.
I'm just kind of asking the process.
I think you can table it. I'd have to check to make sure there's no
You would deny it, and then they would go back through.
statutory time limit for you to make a decision on P and Z, because then go back through.
Well, the root of his question, though, is can it be modified?
You
If
can't-
the
you can't
owner's
approve
willing
it.
to modify it to 6 bedrooms, can that be done on the spot right now? Or
Right.
does it have to be done some other process?
You can,
We can do that in the motion?
yes, you can grant less than he's asking for, if
Yes.
that's.
No. I'm not doing it.
Got lots of questions.
no.
I think what was said was it faced McGee Street, maybe? Never did? That's what I said, it faced McGee Street. Yeah. Well, I don't know how we want to approach this. I'm
We can
gonna,
approach it a couple of different ways. You can modify your motion to address a lower number of units if you desire, or you can vote to table it with Brandon following up, or we can vote to reject it or approve it as is. That's pretty much the options.
Options.
well, it appears that everybody's looking at me for,
I vote to approve it as is.
I vote to approve it as is.
Do we want to move through the rest of the questions?
Okay,
or-
let's finish our questions
Yep.
before we start motioning. Okay.
Okay. The only other question I have is on ordinance 6214. Would we be able to say tattoo is only permanent makeup, or? I
Yeah,
mean-
you can say permanent makeup, you can limit it to the applicant.
Oh, no, this is over there.
And so if the applicant leaves,
Leaves,
then
then
they have to
that-
re-permit.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Single family home, one parking spot for everything.
Okay, what else, council?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Can I go back and ask a question, because I don't know the answer to that? And going back to this one on 6213, just to clarify, and that is, we require for each bedroom a parking spot, correct? For a duplex.
Off-street.
Or house.
Is it also the same for a house today? Because we know there are a lot of houses that don't have but one parking spot in this town, and I mean, I know they're grandfathered in, but I just wanted to clarify that we're not requiring more of them than we would a single home. So if it was 3 bedrooms, they have to provide for 3 parking areas, 3 parking spots.
For houses, apartments, duplexes, it's 1 per bedroom, minimum 2 per unit.
Okay.
And that's even off-street parking, or?
That's
or
all on private property.
Private.
Street.
Okay.
Yeah,
all off-
absolutely. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Okay, council.
Just, the plan they submitted does have the required amount of parking spots, does it not?
Does.
It does.
All right, council.
Does anybody want to pull any of these out? Because I'm going to move to approve all as written, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I would like the 6214 to reflect that it be permanent makeup and with the applicant.
Okay. So why don't we take 6213 and 6214 out of
Out of the group.
the group and discuss those separately?
Agree.
Is that
So,
okay with the
okay.
council? Josh?
Josh, go for it.
That's fine with me.
Okay with that.
And I
Okay.
move to approve all ordinances other than 6213 and 16214 as written.
I second that.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Holland. Any opposed? Ordinances are approved. Okay, so 6213, council. Somebody want to make a motion, a revised motion?
So do you want to move to approve 6213 with the understanding that it is for microblading only?
6214
That's-
Sorry, excuse me, 6214?
for permanent makeup and with the applicant only. I'll move to approve it, written that way.
Okay,
I second.
okay. Motion second on 6214. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. 6213. So any modification, changes?
I'm just of the opinion, we have the ordinance, the plan matches what the ordinance says. It passed planning and zoning, and I just feel like if it passed through that body and they were diligent in their work, I don't.
Right, but it wasn't a unanimous
You're
vote.
then your opinion on that.
Make a motion then.
Yeah.
Make a
So,
motion.
I approve I move to approve it as written, 6213.
Okay,
I second.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Opposed.
Opposed.
Mayor.
I guess it's
Mayor.
a tie, Mr. Mayor.
I oppose it.
You know, this is the first time this has happened since I've been mayor. What I'm going to ask of our applicants,
You got to make a motion though, right?
You gotta kill the one that's on the,
One or the
on the
other.
table.
Do what?
You got to kill the one that's up. You got
Or
to,
kill it or
You
approve
don't
it.
got to do it. You-
I just have to vote. Huh?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got to grant or deny.
Right, it's,
Yeah.
Can't amend it.
You can't
Um,
amend this one.
You know, this is an odd situation, but you know, where are you in the process on this facility? Or have you already done your drawings and? Could you come back to us with a 6-bedroom unit? Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and deny the big unit and see if you'll come back to us with a smaller unit. Okay? That's asking a lot of that piece of property. Okay?
that's it.
Did we do it?
That's it.
We did. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or a citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items C3, C4, C5, E3, E4, E5, and E6. Council, what do you say on the consent? Would you like to
Make a-
separate one for any reason?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read Resolution 6479.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman awarding a bid to and authorizing execution of a contract with the Playground Shade and Surfacing Depot LLC for the Library Park renovations project, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Good evening.
We're here to request to award the bid to Playground Shade and Surfacing Depot for the Library Park renovation project. This project will be unlike any other park that we have in Sherman. Along with pavilion and benches, this park will include musical instruments, which is a good plus for our town. Parks and Recreation and the library have worked closely together to determine the type of equipment that will be best suited for the area. With that being said, we were very specific on the bid packets. We wanted to install a little bit nicer duo-top pavilion that would accommodate all of the library activities that we hope will be offered there. And we also wanted to install outdoor sound garden musical instruments that would stand up to public use. The bid packet required each bidder to submit bids on each area of the project that they were interested in bidding. We received 6 bids. Of the 6 bids, the Playground Shade and Surfacing Depot was the lowest bidder that submitted bids following the bid specifications.
Okay. Council, any questions?
I do have some questions. So you're saying the lowest bidder, because it met the specifications better than the one that was actually a lower dollar amount?
That's right. We requested a duo-top type pavilion that was a little bit nicer so we could have activities there for the library. The one that they spec'd was not duo-top, so therefore the pricing was lower.
And just for that cover itself,
Right.
was that much
Yes.
difference in price?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move to approve Resolution 6479.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. All right. Linda, if you'll read 6483 for us, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing the adoption of a written definition and criteria for accurately determining the safety record of a bidder for contractor consideration, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Clint?
With the size and cost of the projects growing that we have, similar to West Travis that's coming up, we wanted the ability to choose contractors not just based on their price, but also their qualifications, their construction time and their safety record. And so according to the local government code, we have to adopt a written criteria that spells out exactly how we rate a contractor's safety. And by approving this, that would meet the letter of the law and allow us to consider the ratings of, or the safety rating of contractors before we award large projects.
I want to thank you for doing that. That means a lot to me as a citizen. I know those who think about safety, it's a big deal. I move to approve the resolution 6483.
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Clint, for your work on that. Okay, we have D1, request to advertise construction of West Travis Street Phase 2 and 3. Clint?
So this is a request to advertise a request for proposals for the final 2 phases of West Travis Street. It will connect Phase 1 of Sherman Crossroads to the, right in front of the high school that's currently under construction. We hope to award this in June, start construction late summer, and be complete by August of 2020.
We're gonna make that?
I've been told we
No
can.
more rain. No more rain.
Okay, council, any questions? Okay, we get a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Linda, if you'll read E1 for us, please.
Consider approval of the annexation scheduling plan for adoption of 217.7 acres located west of FM 1417, south of Obie Groner Road, and east of Bradley Road, adjacent to the Sherman city limits and in the city of Sherman's extraterritorial jurisdiction, and directing the Department of Engineering Services to develop a service plan for the area to be annexed upon approval of the annexation scheduling plan.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Clint?
This will set up the schedule for another annexation. I think this is the 3rd one we've had in a real short period of time. This is west of 1417. The owners, the Munson Realty Company, have requested this. They also own basically all the land east of 1417 in green on that aerial, and will be south of the high school, and they should be soon presenting an application for a plan development for this whole area.
Okay. Thank you, Clint. Council, any questions on this item?
I've been asked some questions on